And today, we're continuing on with this idea of God's covenant with us and how the pact works and how these promises work. We've been looking a lot about the idea that it's really about a covenant, not a contract. In other words, it's about God being with us through it all. And part of Him being with us through it all is the idea that, yeah, life some of the time is just really hard. And we never quite do it perfectly. We never quite understand it perfectly, and that's okay. So I want to read you a passage about that. So this is based on a passage from the book of Genesis where God is saying, "My pact will be in your flesh." In other words, my covenant will be in your flesh, will be in the human part. And it goes on to talk about how the human part is just messy. It's just a messy part of life. We never quite fully get it. We kind of get it at times. We get glimpses of this bigger picture, but most of the time we're not 100% right about almost anything, and those of us, you think the older you get, the more like, oh yeah, I don't quite understand the whole thing. And maybe that's why as we get older, paradoxes make a lot more sense because we can see it one way, but then there's also this other side of it as well. We're able to kind of see the both and of things. So there's a beauty in this too. The idea that God doesn't have an expectation that we get it right. I mean, that's beautiful. God does not have an expectation that you have every single thought, every single thing done just perfectly, because that's not what's going to happen. As we talk about a lot from a Christian New Church perspective, our big thing is that where God rests, where God kind of goes like, yeah, this is where I'm going to do my work of spirituality and my work of guiding the human race, is through our intentions. And if we have an intention to learn, if we have an intention to continue to understand the world better and better, like the more we live into that really good intention, like the better life really does become for us. But it's about refining that intention. It's not about that we get to the point where we finally get it all. I've shared this story before, but I remember when I taught freshman boys, was an exercise that worked well, was trying to teach them about this. And there's the beautiful Bernathen Cathedral. It's that direction from our house, from where I'm sitting in my office right now, not far away, almost in sight. And to get the boys to understand this, we would put them all around the building, like literally in a big, giant circle, lots of space in between, obviously. And they would each write what they saw. And the idea was that they were to look at these things, and really I wanted them to understand that all we get is this point of view, and none of them had the right view of the cathedral. They all had their view of the cathedral, and it was right from that angle. But to really understand something, you really have to see it in the round, and that's why we need each other, and that's why we never really fully get the truth totally. So this is read you a couple pieces of biblical commentary here. This is from the books Secrets of Heaven 2053. In human beings, there is no pure form of intuitive truth. In other words, divine truth. The religious truth that we have is only apparent truth. So in other words, like we're several degrees removed from what the deepest truth is. And it goes on to say, God does not break anyone, but instead bends us. I love that idea. Like God is not out to break you through some test, just not. We have an interesting concept in the new church that God does not test anyone. That's just not God's thing. And friends, like, you wouldn't test your kids. At least I hope not. You're not feeling like you have to go out there and test your kids to see how worthy they are. It's the same with God. Like the word test and worthiness are never in the same sentence when you talk about God, and never should be in the same sentence when you talk about God. And they never should be in the same sentence when you talk about other human beings, I don't believe. Will life have tests? Absolutely, because life is imperfect. Again, the pact is in the flesh. Like the God is showing up in the flesh, in the messiness of the human experience, and that's okay. Like actually, that's where we would want to have God show up, because if it's all about some multiple choice test and all about getting it perfect, boy, that can lead religion down funky ways. And it's interesting how religion, and this is a legitimate criticism of it, the religion can rapidly fall into this belief that you need to know the truth. All right, I kind of get that, but then inevitably the person saying that will then follow up with, and I have it. I have the truth. Whatever that particular denominational truth is, or whatever the particular personal truth is, they'll believe that they have it and you don't. And that to me is like, woo, and that can be somebody who's religious. I've definitely met people who are secular atheists who have that particular perspective. I have the truth, no one else does. Anytime that shows up, it's just not terribly helpful or healthy. Because God is always, it's like this big milieu. It's this big pot of stew. Oh, that's a horrible analogy, but let's go with it. This big pot of stew, and that's what truth is. And we're constantly trying to sort through. We're constantly in conversation. We're constantly in growth. And when we can do that, God, again, notice the intention here. We're intention. God gently bends that. He bends that towards becoming more and more true the older we live. And many of us have grandparents who are or parents now, who are just really filled with a lot of wisdom because they've come to it. And God is, over the course of life, has gently bent them to understand more and more and more. So, friends, I guess today, the takeaway would be just so we can take a breath. And we don't always know what's true. We'll never have 100% of the picture in this life. And I think God smiles at that and goes like, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. And I'm going to gently use your best intentions. I think God would say, I'm gently going to use your best intentions to bend you towards things, seeing things more and more clearly, and understanding first things first, and keeping first things recognizably first. I think that's key. And that's yeah. Isn't it interesting, right? It gives a whole new spin on the idea of the grace of God. Like there's just this graceful bending of us towards home. So that's the thought for today, folks. I hope you find a little solace and a little peace and a little way to breathe right on through that. So now we're going to shift gears as we always do. And in shifting gears here at New Church Live, what we do is we take a little breath, ring a prayer bell. We listen to that until it stops ringing. And then we go into a little meditation. And then we go into a little prayer and a little blessing. And then we'll say hi to folks who are joining us on Facebook this morning. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little cheery hello to folks and say hi. Again, I hope you're having a wonderful day. We were in the midst of a streak of beautiful, beautiful fall days here. All right, now let's flip over to this. Okay, flip over to. Sorry about that, folks. I'm not the most adept at flipping back and forth quickly. All righty. All right. Number of comments over here. Marcus, good morning to you, and I hope you're doing well, buddy. Linda, good morning. Talia, good morning. I hope you're doing well. And Sue, great to see you joining us as well. Good morning to you. And Tina writes, enjoy this beautiful day. Certainly will. Certainly will. Certainly will. So much love to all of you folks. God bless, and have a day riding a little loosely in the saddle. And now a little final word about our appreciation of all you do to support New Church Live. Like our content? It's funded by viewers like you. Please consider becoming a sustaining supporter of New Church Live today. Take care, my friends.